Hello, I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of An Old Guy in Europe. This week, I share some photos of Santa Cruz, Portugal with Carl Munson on the Good Morning Portugal Show from July of 2022. In addition to talking about redefining my self-identity when I moved to Portugal, the impact of Challenge Day on my life, and how my true self aligns so well with the Portuguese culture. So, as always, I invite you to please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Ooh, a rising twang to welcome James. Don't worry about it. It's only the banana slug. How you doing, mate?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Had a great weekend.
Yes. You clearly did. Let's go straight into that. I'll play the video at the end because it seems like a fitting end to the show to hear the Portuguese Atlantic lapping on the beach. But you sent me some lovely stills as well. Oh no, not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one.
I didn't take any pictures of that.
There's James joining Santa Cruz, I think, of Portugal this weekend. How cool is that? You met Neptune by the look of you as well.
Yes, he was there for a surfing competition.
Right. How incredible. Right. But buried in sand up to his waist. That's a great thing to happen, isn't it? Yeah, okay. And then a long shot. Is this Santa Cruz then, the overhead?
Yes. That's heading north from not quite the southernmost edge of it. It's an incredibly long stretch of beach. It's beautiful.
Where is it?
It's about halfway between Ericeira and Peniche.
Okay, all right. So we could claim it as Silver Coast then, right?
Yeah, not being native, I don't know what to call it. I just call it beautiful.
Yes, just call it beautiful. That's the name of the autobiography, isn't it? In which you will find many of James's thoughts as espoused and shared with us on a Monday morning. Look at this. We put this fella on the spot first thing on a Monday morning, and he keeps coming up trumps, keeps on trumping every Monday morning with beautiful insights about the world. What have you got for us this week, James?
Well, a couple of comments. First of all, one, you made mention of the Wright brothers, and I thought I heard your stereotyped American accent, because their names were Orville and Wilbur. So I can hear Orville, Wilbur. I can hear you do that. So
what that time when they flew to Porto?
That's right.
Yes, that's the one.
So a non-stereotyped American would probably just say Porto, but
yes.
Anyway, it's still in my ear. Porto, stop. I'm getting used to the ooze. I'm even pronouncing American S's like shh all the time now.
It happens, doesn't it? It happens. Isn't that funny? For San Francisco.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, oh.
Stop it. Wrong language. Yes, very good. Thank you for that. Thank you for the coaching, because you did have a little bit of language coaching from Nuno as well, right? About Bonfils Mano, is that right?
Yes, and I copied and pasted it, and he had made a typo, so then I changed it. Anyway, that's the correct one. I used final de semana because I was checking my other language on a translator, and it gave me that, and I just copied and pasted and didn't notice. So when Nuno corrected me, it's like, I missed that. But I figured, hey, this is a great reminder. I saw a reference last week to final de semana, and I didn't know the difference. So end of the week is different than weekend.
Yes.
I mean, not literally, I guess, but
No, not in reality, but linguistic. Yes, they
yes,
are.
exactly.
Okay.
So I thought it was a great learning opportunity for all of us.
And here's Wilbur Wright's quote of the day. I don't think. Get all the good laughs. And isn't that so true? And I don't know if you heard me saying, I don't know if this is going to influence what you've got to share with us with your view of life and the thought from the Redwood this morning. But I have felt myself slipping into being a little more harsh and cynical and wanting to be right about things in these last few weeks. And I think it does match the temper of the world somewhat. But I think this is brings us back into proper perspective as far as I'm concerned, about the laughs, the life, the laughs, the beauty. The joy of life here in Portugal. That is, after all, what we came here for, right, James?
Yes. And it's yet another reason I don't follow commercial news. I generally don't want to laugh when I'm watching the news. So laughter is healing. It causes us to breathe deeply. It's good for us physically, mentally, emotionally, all those ways. So, yes, laughter. Yeah. Love it.
Yes. So here we go. Have you got some laughs for us this morning, or more sort of poignant and pithiness?
Well, I was reviewing some of the previous episodes that I was on just to see if I had missed anything. And I did see a question from Stephen Wells, a couple of weeks ago as I was talking about authenticity and full expression of self and so on. And he asked what I thought was a great question that I wanted to address, at least in part for today. He asked, how did you decide on what me was underneath the environmental triggers or responses? As I was talking about sort of finding myself, regaining myself. And the simple answer is that it goes back to the noticing. I noticed something didn't feel quite right with me. Pretty much my whole adult life, it wasn't disabling in any way. It's like I was told most of my life that I remembered that I was logical and intelligent and that the value was given in my mind and my ability to think and do well in school. And that was all true, but it became my identity based on what the people around me, what they knew me as and how they were defining me. And the moment of waking up for me, the moment of noticing was in a workshop. And I've made reference to Challenge Day, which is an amazing organization. And I went to this 3-day workshop and it almost had the experience of what I imagine it would feel like to be in heaven. It was overwhelming to me. And it's like, why? I mean, this is so touchy-feely and so, it's just not who I am, right? Based on my identity, or my self-identity. And when I went home, because I was staying at my parents' for the weekend, I was talking with my mother about it. I said, I don't get it. It just felt like home to me. And it was all, emotional and heart-centered stuff. And she looked at me and she says, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. I said, what? And she said, well, you know what we called you when you were little? And I said, no, I don't remember. She said, we called you Lovey. She said, you were always looking for a lap to put your head in. You always wanted to sit next to people. And I had completely forgotten that part of myself. Yes. And so it was this moment, this awakening for me that I was home. This is like, I recognize this feeling of love and heart connection with people that I had, I don't want to say lost, but it took a back seat in terms of my self-identity. So for Stephen, the answer to the question for me is that it was in that moment that I started to wake up to who's the real me. We don't know what we don't know. So this was a waking up. This is discovering, self-discovery, and having the opportunity to redefine myself as an adult, as opposed to define myself based on the expectations that had been put on me my whole life. That is the long answer to that question. It's like, I don't want to write this. I'll just address Stephen. And thank you, Stephen, for the question. It's a great reminder for me. And I think potentially a great opportunity for other people to, do some self-investigation if they're not feeling quite something doesn't feel quite right about their own sense of identity. It's like, take a look and see, who are you really? Who are you really?
Well, what a fantastic invitation to start a week on a Monday morning.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely brilliant, James. What's the name of that workshop again?
Well, the name of the workshop has changed several times. The organization is called Challenge Day,
Right.
and they focus primarily on offering full day programs in high schools and junior high schools that include adults and obviously the students on issues of self-awareness, full expression, honesty, transparency, authenticity. It's based on the idea that we tend to think that if people really knew us, they wouldn't want to be around us.
Yes.
And what they discovered and what they teach in these amazing full-day workshops with kids is that the opposite is true. And it's true of, I believe, all of us. I even gave that to lost my train of thought. Anyway, the idea is that what the truth is when we reveal ourselves, truly who we are. If you really knew me, people like us more. They don't run away from us, they embrace us. So these people in the workshops in the schools were having this, imagine high school students who had been bullied by, and I'll just use another stereotype, a football player. And I'm talking American football, so more like rugby, but anyway, big tough guys like teasing and
jocks, you call them. Yes.
Yeah. Imagine these guys who have all this ego and all this bluster and everything to lose in terms of being perceived as a weak human being if they let down this whole bluster of bully.
Yeah.
Apologizing in front of the entire school to the kid they had been picking on for years.
Yes.
And that kid having a moment of just relief and the promise from that person that they will not pick on them anymore. And a matter of fact, if they see anyone else trying it, they'll stop them.
Nice.
And then embracing in a hug. I mean, and this happens every single day. It's amazing work, heart connection, and learning to love each other more by knowing each other better. So the great question, the ongoing question is statement is, if you really knew me, and then you finish the statement, you would know this about me. And sometimes I'm afraid, sometimes it's amazing work. And the workshop is then a more extensive, deeper dive into that experience over the course of a weekend.
Look at that. Challenge Day. I've never heard of this. And it is DAY. I thought it might be like God, DEI, Challenge Day. Opus Day. But it's challengeday.org. Serving over 49 US states, Canada, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Challenge Day is on a mission to create a world where every person in our communities feels safe, loved, and celebrated. Why isn't this on the news? Challenge Day is a non-profit organization committed to building empathy and compassion in our communities. We help youth and adults unlearn harmful habits, experience vulnerability as a pillar to restore strength, and enable them to experience the freedom of full expression through the lens of compassion, connection, and diversity. Oh my goodness. In the past 5 years, we have supported 300,000 students and 60,000 adults directly on the end there. But that is so beautiful. James, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I think in some small way, we too can offer that sort of space, can't we? Here with what we're doing. I love that lens that they're looking at life through, and your mention of it today, where people are revealing. I suppose first of all, like you say, noticing what is the real them, because sometimes it can be quite buried, can't it? You can live in the listening of others, as it were, and you can live up to the expectations of others, and that can form our personality when we're younger, can't we? Because we're quite influenceable, I suppose, and before you know it, you've compromised and created a view of yourself to satisfy others, if you're a people pleaser, if it's a survival matter. But then comes a moment where you, I suppose, maybe a little bit more resourceful, or your change of circumstances, where you get that feeling that you talked about. Maybe this isn't the real me. I've got a new opening. I might have moved to Portugal. I might have a new job, and I can express myself differently.
Absolutely. Yes. And then it goes to, we talked about this before too, the challenges of redefining ourselves. And I mentioned that one of the things in moving to Portugal is that I wasn't now surrounded by people who had an idea already of who I am. So I could be more authentic, and start from there, because I was less concerned whether people liked me or not. It's like, if you like who I am, great, we can be friends. If you don't, that's fine. I've got friends, and have a great life and go find the people who like you.
Woo-hoo!
So
yes,
it's a new opportunity. It's very different than being surrounded by family and friends who've known you for years, who have this idea of who you are. You change, they go, who do you think you are? It's like, well, this. That's who I am.
But that's an interesting sort of supplementary issue here. And by the way, everybody, we are waiting. But yeah, how lovely that is, James, that you have this opportunity to operate in a new space and take that view that you have. I really like that. Well, if you like me, great. If you don't, have a great life. And that's pretty grown up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and it comes from being, essentially liking yourself. It's like, that's fine. Yes. If I'm the only one who likes me, I'm okay. I can live with that. And it turns out, again, consistent with Challenge Day, if you really knew me, this is who I am, and I've got more friends than I've ever had in my life. So,
well, worry about
I don't know where your train went, but mine got stuck on wanting to make sure that I give a shout out to Challenge Day for this whole Notice, Choose, Act thing. That is their operating motto. That's where I learned it. Notice, choose, act. And it has been so valuable for the remainder of my days. I mean, well, that sounds kind of final, but you know what I mean. But over 20 years of doing this work, and the influence it's had on my practice as a therapist has been phenomenal. So I just cannot speak highly enough of Challenge Day as an organization. MTV, remember them way back when? They actually did a documentary series called If You Really Knew Me, and it was all on Challenge Day. I highly recommend looking that up if you want to get a sense of what a Challenge Day experience is. You can watch it on video on YouTube.
What an incredible proposition. So there's an invitation today to maybe live life in a way that resounds, echoes with that. If you really knew me. And I think that's a very important point, isn't it, for young people? Because they are being formed in their environment, aren't they? And sometimes who and what they really are has to take a back seat in the intensity of teenage development, and hopefully that can be rested at some point, and then the real you, the if you really knew me you, can come to the fore in later life. What a shame that we can't do that sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and that comes into play. It's an issue of safety. When we feel safe to be who we are, we can truly be who we are in this environment. Of all places, high school, you're talking about adolescents getting real with each other in a vulnerable way. It's like miraculous to
well, they'll do it better than grown-ups. Well, if they go for it, they'll do it better than grown-ups, won't they?
Yes. And that's the adults that participate in these Challenge Days. They're just their instructions from the people that facilitate them is just play 100%. Yes. That's all. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to have any experience. Just when we say, okay, everyone get up and be excited and dance, you do it bigger and better than anyone else, because that creates a safety. The kids see the adults doing that going, oh, what are those idiots doing? And we can do that, and we can do it better, right? And so then they join. It's amazing what happens when we feel safe.
Tell me, James, so given that we are Good Morning Portugal, we're all about helping people come to Portugal and enjoy their life here. Have you found that easier? Have you found being authentic, true to yourself, easier in this environment? Have you taken full advantage of that sort of opening and clearing, as it were?
Well, yes, and in part because the culture is much more suited to who I am. I'm not a news watcher. I'm not a have to win guy. I'm not a always know I'm right. I'm not a have to be in a hurry, get an ulcer over things kind of person. And Portugal is just so much more to my suiting that way, right? Relax. Oh, yes. Just stand and wait for people to decide what cheese they want. You don't have to get past them. Just wait.
Well, when you put it like that, there's there might be people going, hold on a minute, is that me that he's talking about? I've got an ulcer. And I get really mad about queues and cheese and stuff like that. So take a chill pill if that's you. Come to Portugal, and who better to get help from after this little bit of music here. I think we were talking about dancing, weren't you? Gilda's not here, so we won't play a normal theme tune. We'll have some of that raving business going on now to welcome Christina, who was nodding in appreciation, I think, of what you were saying there, James. So let's have a little bit of a let's move our way into this session with Christina now. Okay, let's go. If I can find it, yes, I can. Here it is.
Hola, Christina.
Yeah, how are you? What about you? Are you well, Christina?
Oh, we're well. How about you guys?
Yeah, we good. Well, you can hear James is talking about being his authentic self and some of the things you can enjoy by moving to Portugal. Would you agree with those things you just heard?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so don't get mad about people buying cheese in front of you. It's a key life skill to learn, right? Take a ticket. Watch
wait it out, yeah.
Wait
it out. I was at Intermarché, and so this was based on real. The man, I'm assuming was the husband, was in the refrigerator. I head in, and he was looking at all the cheeses. His wife, or the woman, was standing right behind him, and their cart was behind her. So the three of them were blocking the entire aisle as he was like talking about the cheese and this one, and do I get this one? And he shows it to her, no. And then he proceeds to empty the refrigerator of the kind they finally decided on. Like 35 packets of that cheese went into their cart. It took probably 5 or 10 minutes, and I was just standing there waiting. They didn't even notice I was there. I was just kind of chuckling and smiling, going, okay, this is Portugal. So
must have been good cheese. James,
I'm
what's
the kind of girl that goes passive aggressive and says, "Com licença."
That's what you could do when you've been here for a little while.
Just let me get my cheese and get on with my
Someone
life.
behind me might have heard that from someone behind me.
Yeah.
Like,
James, what was the cheese? Because if they are buying 35 packets of cheese and taking 10 minutes to do it, it must be very good cheese. Did you get a look at the label?
I did not, and I think it was some grated cheese in a plastic bag. It kind of surprised me. All the choices, that's what they wanted, and they wanted a lot of it. So
it might have been pizzas at Grandma's maybe that weekend. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. James, did you want to round up at all with what you've been saying this morning before we get deeply into Migration Monday with Christina?
One final thing that in terms of that, the changing or not changing, but claiming yourself. For years, I was saying, well, I've been Jim my whole life. I'm Jim to everybody I know. And I'm making this move, and I've toyed with the idea, maybe I could change my name, make it more, to my Anglo-Saxon, whatever, and go with Seamus. No, that's a little too much. So when I came to Portugal, I intentionally said from this point forward, my identity in my name is going to be James. So I literally changed my name coming over here too, as a way of demarcating this identity reclamation. I was going to say change. It wasn't really a change, just reclaiming myself. Yes. And it's interesting, my self-talk, especially when I'm being critical of myself, I still call myself Jim when I do that. It's like, Jim, you met. Oh, so that's it helps me. It's like, oh, James doesn't do that anymore.
That's incredible. Jim. So you might recommend that as well, that people make a really clear change or transformational marker
I don't know if it's a recommendation, but it certainly worked for me, and I think it could work for others as well. Especially when you get to talking about being your authentic self.
Well, as you go boldly into the week, we could say that was life, Jim, but not as you knew him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, James, you have
James.
James, have a great week. Thank you so much. I'm sure people will be very glad of your counsel this morning, and we look forward already to seeing you next Monday.
Yes, and I look forward to watching the remainder of the show with you, Christina. Thank you.
Okay, nice one, mate. And I'm sure James...